So, I beat Celeste in under 50 minutes. I wanted to make this video to describe why I went for this goal and how I was able to do it. If you haven't heard of it yet, Celeste is a difficult platforming game released in 2018. It follows Madeline in her quest to climb Celeste Mountain and overcome physical and emotional obstacles in the process. I beat the game shortly after it was released, and then the extra levels, and then I found all the Easter eggs. I was happy because I had climbed the mountain, and then some. But to me, hard platformers are like a cheat code to get into the mythical flow state, and I can't stay away from them for too long. After beating the most difficult level in the base game, I found that I had learned a lot of cool techniques that make you move really fast, and I saw that with just regular movement, you could beat the game in just under an hour. Because I always felt pretty comfortable with the harder techniques, it felt natural to try speedrunning and use the moves that I'd just learned. At the same time though, I didn't want to grind for months on end to shave seconds off my personal best. I settled on attempting to beat the game in under 50 minutes to compromise getting a hard challenge while not having to devote years to Celeste speedrunning. I had tried speedrunning once before with Super Meat Boy, but I didn't have a concrete goal at the time, so there wasn't any sense of improvement. I just tried to go fast without knowing strategies or techniques. While I never got used to using speedrun timers to see my progress, Celeste made it easy to track my times. I had a goal in mind: beat the game in under 50 minutes, and I could see based on my deaths where I was losing a lot of my time. The final piece of the puzzle was learning where to go in each stage, including shortcuts and time saves, and improving my consistency with the strategies that I chose to use. There's a lot of videos out there describing Celeste's movement mechanics, but everything you can do in the game can be broken down into two camps: moves that are necessary and moves that aren't. The 4 necessary moves that you need to beat the game normally are running, climbing, jumping, and dashing. These 4 basic building blocks can be combined in unique ways to make moves that are better than the sums of their parts. Like I said earlier, these moves will get you to a sub-hour time as long as you know the route and don't die too much. But to go faster, we need to learn some new tools and incorporate them into the run. In particular, my main boys for the sub 50 were the extended hyper jump and the wave dash. Now normally after you dash, you can't dash again until you land on the ground, but these 2 moves let you keep your dash in the air, which can sometimes skip the intended path. To do an extended hyper jump, you need to hit down and right, followed by dash, and then a jump after a short delay. If you time it right, you'll get a very fast and very low jump, and you'll keep your dash too. You can also turn around while doing this, which will be important later. To do a wave dash, you dash diagonally downwards towards the ground and jump as you hit the ground. Same as with the extended hyper jump, timing is essential to keep maximum speed and preserve the dash. Both these moves are used everywhere in the run because they let Madeline zip zop zoop over large gaps and keep speed between screens. Celeste as a game is very easy to learn how to speedrun. The developers made it very straightforward to get from the start of the game to the end. There's no luck, no game-breaking glitches, it's only you against the game timer for 8 stages in a row. And at the very end, you get a little cutscene with a picture of your final time. In these stages, some are easier than others. There's no way to skip these stages or beat them out of order, so to beat the game, you have to go from stage 1 to stage 8 in order. Although I mostly took the intended path within each stage, there were a few cases where I was able to save major chunks of time.
That's good shit.
Holy shit, I pulled off a double dash first try. These are some of the cooler moments from each of the 8 stages. In the prologue, you don't have your dash, so this part is about 27 seconds of holding right and jumping at the right times. This stage feels very cool to do quickly. There's a lot of cool little strategies, but here are some of my favorites. You can perform a wall jump here to let you skip jumping off the platforms on the right side. You can perform a reverse extended hyper jump over the spikes in this screen. And you can wave dash under this moving block to get to the platform faster. And finally, you can get a very precise wall jump to skip most of this screen. This stage is still on the fun side, but with the added stress of being followed by a demon. I tried to make sure to play it safe and avoid any dumb deaths. Here's some strats that I used. A precise setup here lets you move diagonally instead of up and down through these dream blocks. You can zoom through these keys with a good path. And there's a secret path in this room that lets you fast fall through most of the level. Now this stage is a run killer. It's very long and the difficulty spikes up, so there's lots of places to make costly mistakes. This stage is the one that starts having cooler skips though. These are my picks. Here you can time a super jump into this screen transition to let you grab the key faster. Holding left in this room lets you just squeeze by these dust bunnies. And finally I used a demo dash in this room to skip getting a key. A demo dash is performed by ducking and dashing at the same frame, and you can squeeze through otherwise impassable gaps. It's precise though. I lined up these pixels to make sure I was in the right ballpark to make it through these spikes. Golden Ridge feels like the last breath of fresh air before the rest of the levels crush your spirit. There's fewer skips here, but here are some interesting oddities. You can't dash diagonally upright through this bubble, but for some reason, if you do a downward dash first, Madeline stays ducked inside the bubble and just barely misses the spikes. This screen almost feels like it was meant to be skipped because an extended hyper fits perfectly to skip the entire room. In this first screen, you can skip most of the annoying wind with the reverse extended hypers. And then in the next screen, an extended super jump lets you skip the slow platforms. Alright, in Mirror Temple, we're now in the big leagues. Mirror Temple has some of the biggest skips in the run, and we barely even see the level, except for Theo's goddamn crystal. We start off pretty tame by skipping a bubble and performing a reverse extended hyper over these spikes to get a key. Next, we skip a full minute of time with the secret path that lets us skip another key. And finally, we skip a whopping 3 minutes of time with the well-placed reverse super over this spike gap. In reflection, the platforming at the beginning of the level is fun. Here's the fun little skip you can do around these Kevin blocks. But then, she shows up. She's determined to ruin any good run with her cold, unfeeling eyes. All you can do is hang on to the boat while the deaths just keep coming. Eventually though, you persevere, and you're on to the summit. It's the summit. It's all been leading up to this. The countdown's begun, and you can only waste so much time before you totally miss your goal. Unlucky for you, the longest and hardest part of the climb is about to begin. We start off fairly plain with some easy wave dashes to avoid extra time in the air. Then we go straight into a few dream block optimizations. Finally, we skip a full screen by taking this lower dog path. We squeeze through a tiny gap, and suddenly, there's only 10 checkpoints between you and your goal. Background sounds fade out. You will have around 150 seconds of precise platforming to nail, all while the timer in the corner of your eye keeps getting closer and closer. 3 checkpoints left. Heartbreak.
I was too low. Okay.
Oh, that was so fast.
2 checkpoints left. Just don't mess up these jumps. This is really... Okay. Another save. 1 checkpoint left. Home stretch. And suddenly,
Let's
it's over.
go! Let's
Did
fucking
it.
go!
What's the
49, 32,
49,
569.
32.
The run that ended up going under 50 minutes wasn't perfect by any means, but at the beginning of the project, I didn't even think it was possible for me. I'm proud that I was able to set a goal for myself that seemed totally out of reach and practiced at it until it was conquered. I think that while I definitely didn't achieve mastery, platformers like Celeste are a pretty clear way for me to be able to set goals and persevere to accomplish them. It was a long journey with a lot of frustratingly close calls, but whether you're going for a sub-hour run, your first completion of Celeste, or something else entirely, stop. Take a deep breath, and remember, you can do this. In the description, you can find the full uncut sub 50-minute run. It's a little out of my comfort zone to make a video so personable and using my real voice, but I hope that I can make more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching this video all the way through.